Alright guys, welcome back to the second video of today. I talked about this in the first leak video. If you have not seen the leaks, the new leaks, they are up in the right corner. I have linked the video there. Go over there, check it out so you are informed. But as you can also see, we have upcoming selection packs, Return of the King, which once again we predicted to come on. I hope you can see it here with my face. But you can't, but I was supposed to come on Friday, and I think this is exactly true. So we have 3 days. It's Friday exactly. Yeah. So my theory is correct here. If you're not aware, you can always check when this will come out. Firstly, when the next selection pack will leave the shop, then it's not most likely, it's definitely the time. But what you can also do is check the Master Duel Forbidden and Limited List update, because as you can see, we will get the new Forbidden Limited List at March the 8th, which is the Friday, and this is also when the new pack will come out. So this always comes together. We have upcoming selection packs, Return of the King, and as always, we are getting some of the ultra rares pre-announced. You can also take a look at this in the game of Master Duel. You will see this in the notification area there. There are some cards that we already knew about, and then there's one card that we definitely did not know about. I had this mentioned in a leak video before, but wasn't quite sure when this will come, only that it will come, obviously. We obviously have the Scarlet Dragon Archfiend, so the whole Archfiend, Red Dragon Archfiend stuff here are not super interesting for me. We have the Earthbound stuff, which also not really interesting for me. We have Tistina, which is one of the most boring archetypes ever, unfortunately. Tokusano Shinkojin with send monsters from my hand and a field to the graveyard whose total ever drew. Okay, not quite sure what this card is. This doesn't really belong to any of the other archetypes. I'm also not sure in which set this came out, but not something that's really relevant here. The relevant card is Transaction Rollback, and we will talk about this in a moment. The interesting thing is that these cards, the Earthbound stuff and the Transaction Rollback, is from Maze of Millennia, which is a set that just recently came, or basically recently came out in the TCG at the end of January. So once again, Konami taking stuff from sets that we are not already on and giving us them now. So we are definitely receiving them early. As you might have seen in the leaks video, Unchained will come in the April pack, so later, but it was released way earlier. So they are definitely all over the place when it comes to their release schedule. Can't really count on Konami when it comes to that, but I like it because this makes it definitely more interesting. Transaction Rollback. So why is this a big thing? We can take a look at this card. It says it's a trap normal, and you might already know where this could lead. Pay half your life points and target one normal trap in your opponent's graveyard except this one. This effect becomes that card's activation effect. So this is the effect on the field, right? And then there's a second effect. You can banish this card from your graveyard and pay half your life points. Then target one normal trap in your graveyard except Transaction Rollback. This effect becomes that card's activation effect. You can only use one Transaction Rollback per turn and only once that turn. So you can't use both of them, both of the effects, but that doesn't really matter because you might not really use the first effect, even though you can, right? So obviously we are playing this in a Labyrinth here, no big surprise, and what you are mainly wanting to do with this is use your Labyrinth discard engine stuff. So your Stovitory, which unfortunately is as well as the Chandralier at 2 at the moment, definitely making Transaction Rollback a bit of a weaker card. This is something that needs to be said because as you can see in TCG and OCG, this stuff is at 3, but I think it's quite alright. Labyrinth is a deck that, because we don't have a side deck, we don't have a best of 3, you can't really prepare against. You can't just go, okay, I'm playing against Labyrinth, so second game I'm siding in Lightning Storms and Dusters and Ghost Bells and stuff like this. So I think it's fair making this deck a bit weaker for the moment, but yeah, we have the Stovitory and the Chandelier, which, if you're not aware, they are saying, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or the field to the graveyard and discard one card, same as the Stovitory. So what you want to achieve here, what you want to do here is discard the Transaction Rollback, so it's in your graveyard, and then with Transaction Rollback in your graveyard, you can copy any normal trap in your graveyard. Basically, this becomes that trap then. You could obviously also use the first effect here, copying a card of your opponent's graveyard, but this then most likely would be, I don't know, an infinite impermanence impermanence, because this is the trap everyone is playing. So for example, a Snake Eye deck only plays the infinite impermanence, and then maybe the Bellstar trap. So the first effect is not that relevant, but the second one is. The cool thing that you can do is you can copy your own, for example, Big Welcome Labyrinth, because this is transaction rollback and not another Big Welcome Labyrinth. It only copies the effect of Big Welcome Labyrinth. This means that you can activate a second one. So for example, your first Big Welcome Labyrinth gets ashed, then you could go transaction rollback, copy Big Welcome Labyrinth, and then this will resolve, because obviously your opponent can only ash you once per turn. And then you would, for example, get your lovely lady through that can then, not the lovely lady, the lovely labyrinth through that can then reset you your Big Welcome Labyrinth, for example. But this is definitely not the only card that you could copy. You can copy everything in your grave. Could also copy Daruma Karma Cannon, for example, which at the moment is a very, very strong trap, even though obviously if you go set the Daruma on your first turn, your opponent plays, you flip everything down, then there is no real incentive in just using it again this turn, because why would you? Everything is flipped face down. But you then have a safe Daruma Karma Cannon for the turn after if you are not able to reset this with your lovely labyrinth. And there's also another very interesting thing that you can do. The transaction rollback is copying the effect of the card, but is not copying the cost that it needs to activate the card. So one classic example that you could use this card for is to activate an Eradicator Epidemic Virus without paying the cost. So for everyone not aware, we can quickly take a look at this so you understand. Cost means everything that is before this semicolon here. So if there is a semicolon on a card, that means this is a cost you need to pay, or like a condition you need to fulfill in order to activate this card. So it says tribute one dark monster with 2/5 or more attack and declare one type of card, spell, or trap. So this declare one type of card part is obviously not a cost, because you just have to say, I declare spell cards. It's nothing that you have to pay, right? But it's an activation condition, as same as the tribute one dark monster, which is a cost, because you really have to like get something away to activate this. So technically, and there's something very interesting to understand, technically you at first have to pay the cost, and only then this card will activate. Everything else is paying cost, right? So if there's a semicolon, that means everything before that is cost. If there is a double point, then this is not cost but effect. So it says tribute one dark monster with 2/5 or more attack, which will normally be your lady or your lovely, and declare one type of card, spell, or trap, and then you will destroy everything here, right? But the transaction rollback only copies the effect, not the cost. So this is why you can activate the Eradicator Epidemic Virus with your transaction rollback without tributing one dark monster with 2/5 or more attack. And then there was this other very famous case, I think it's Mayakashi or something. I'm not even sure myself how this worked. It's a Mayakashi card. I think this was the one, Ghost Meets Girl, Mayakashi something. We can quickly read it. As I already said, I'm not too familiar myself with how this worked. Tribute one Mayakashi or one Shirunawi Synchro or Link monster. So once again, you can see the semicolon indicating that this is cost to activate the card. Once again, the transaction rollback, if this would be in your grave, would not need to pay this cost here. You could just activate the effect, which I don't know the effect, we will find out together. Neither player can special summon monsters from the hand, deck, or extra deck for the rest of this turn. Obviously very, very strong. You can lock your opponent out from playing the game with Ghost Meets Girl, the Master for Mayakashi Shiranui Saga, which could they come up with an even longer name? I guess not. But obviously this never really has seen any play in the TCG Labyrinth and OCG Labyrinth variant. I think just because having this card doesn't really give you or accomplishes anything. It's only useful if you can get it to the grave and then get a transaction rollback to the grave, because if you just draw this card here, then it's a dead card. Obviously, you can use it as discard fodder, but if you, for example, draw an Eradicate Epidemic Virus that we have just took a look at, then you can use this card, and it's just effective within your archetype, as the Mayakashi card is unfortunately not. So transaction rollback coming to us in the March pack, which is definitely nice. And there's one other thing that I want to talk about. We have not seen this as of right now, but this might also tell us that, this is only my personal guess, that we might get Arias the Labyrinth Butler, our remaining Labyrinth card here, which is very, very strong. During the main phase quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the grave. From your hand, either special summon one Labyrinth monster or set one normal trap that you can then activate this turn. So this is another thing that you can use besides the Coup Clock to activate a trap on your turn. And then when your opponent activates a card or effect in response to the activation of your Labyrinth card or effects, except the Butlers or your a normal trap card or effect. So basically, if your opponent reacts to anything that is a normal trap or a labyrinth card, you can, when this card is in your graveyard, because you have discarded it there, obviously, you can special summon this card. Super, super strong, super amazing card here. So this would definitely make a labyrinth stronger. And this is also from Age of Overlord, so definitely not something that it's unthinkable that this card is coming, because we already have stuff from Age of Overlord, and they might want to boost the labyrinth archetype a bit here, which might be the reason why we are getting the transaction rollback, right? But this is only my personal guess. This could be the case, could be an ultra rare. We are only seeing 5 when they basically give us some leaks for the pack, but transaction rollback coming, I'm definitely a bit happier with this, to be honest, that we are getting this trap card here, just because the March pack looked pretty bad. The March pack looked like a complete skip pack, which as of right now it still is a skip pack for me, which means I will probably not pull from this pack. And if you are only wanting to get the transaction rollback, then I would suggest that you just craft 2 or 3 of this. I guess we will play 3, not quite sure. You can get away with 2. This is a card you can also play at 1 if you wanted to, because you are not really having any disadvantage from having this at a lower number, because if you are not seeing this in your game, then you are not seeing this in your game. This is not part of your core strategy, right? So you could just only play 1 if you wanted to, for example. But I think playing 3 of this is quite nice, especially with us losing the labyrinth stuff, the Chandelier and the Stovey Torby, so we have something to basically put in for the loss here. Transaction rollback really strong. I think this will be quite nice because we have Ash. Everybody has Ash in their list, so you're always getting your big welcome and welcome labyrinths ashed, and especially your big welcome labyrinth should go through. This is very impactful. This will see play in labyrinth, so if you want this card like I do, I would suggest you just go craft 2 or 3 of these and then call it a day with this pack, depending on what else is in here, right? There are still like 7 more ultra rares that we don't know of, but we obviously can expect some of the red dragon stuff here and more earthbound stuff to be an ultra rare. Destino also has more of this, so I don't know, we might get another cool ultra rare. I'm honestly, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that we will get another banger ultra rare in this. Maybe we will get like SB Little Knight or something, just so that this deck is not totally trash. But this is only my opinion. Let me know in the comments what you think of the transaction rollback coming and all the other stuff in here. Are you hyped for this pack? Are you not? Let me know in the comments. Always interested. Thanks for being here. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up and the notification bell, and we will see each other in the next one.